Well, good evening, challengers. It is the 21-day positive thought challenge, and we are on day 17. Now, I know that I didn't post the challenge this morning. Hopefully, you were looking for it, but I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to switch it up a little bit. We're getting closer to day 21. I thought this would be a really cool way to discuss one of the positive thought challenges instead of just putting out a prepared video. I can get a little interaction with you guys and give you the positive thought on a live video, and hopefully you could maybe talk to me a little bit, tell me your thoughts, tell me your how you feel about it, because a lot of times I read your thoughts and your comments days later because sometimes there's so many, and thank you for that so much. I really appreciate it. The level of interaction in this group is beyond anything that I imagined, and I'm so happy for that. So this is the 21-day positive thought challenge. We are on day 17. If this is your first time in the group, then we are doing 21 days of positive thoughts. This is based on a article that I wrote for thoughtcatalog.com. For the last 16 days, we've been focusing on one sentence and just kind of expounding upon that sentence. So today, let's go ahead and get right into it. I know you guys are busy this evening, so I don't want to be on live just running my mouth. So let's talk about day 17. You ready? I'll read it to you. Consider that God may very well be testing your capacity for gratitude before you receive the monumental blessing that is coming your way. So consider that maybe what you're going through right now, God is testing your capacity for gratitude. He's seeing if you know how to be thankful in the moment before you receive the monumental blessing that is coming your way. I like the idea of this just because sometimes we go through some things and we don't realize that we're actually being prepared for something bigger. Going through the process of a coal turning into a diamond, it isn't just time that does that. It's time and pressure. And it takes a long time for that to happen, for this piece of coal to become something that is considered precious and something new. And it's just like us. We have to go through the process. We have to go through that change, that evolutionary period, and see how much can we handle. What can we put on these shoulders in order for us to be better, in order for us to have better? It's kind of like I talk about the Oprah effect. And if you're not familiar with the Oprah effect, this is where back in the day when Oprah had her show, she would do her favorite things. And essentially what she would do is she'd find all kind of stuff, blankets and cookies and creams and all this kind of stuff. And she would feature it on her Oprah's favorite things show. Now, of course, because she's Oprah, when it became her favorite thing, guess what? It became America's favorite thing. And your business just became a success overnight. Maybe, if you're prepared. If you are prepared for the onslaught of customers that you're about to receive, because Oprah is sending them your way. There's one particular business that I remember reading about, this small cookie company. They were making about 50 dozen cookies a month. It was a small operation, really good cookies apparently, and they had a really small but very dedicated following. Well, Oprah got her hands on the cookies, and they went from 50 dozen a month to 500 dozen a month. Now, that seems like an amazing thing. That seems like, wow, this is what we asked for. We're absolutely blessed. However, they were not prepared for that. They didn't have the infrastructure. They didn't have the materials. They didn't have the supplies. They didn't have the manpower. They could not meet that huge demand overnight. And eventually what happened was they had to close their business. What seemed like a blessing on paper turned out to be a curse. Why? They weren't ready yet. They weren't prepared for what they had received. Blessings work the same way. And I can think of a million situations where you've asked for something. You've asked the universe for something. You asked God for something. And you receive it before it's time for you to have it, and you ruin it. And that goes for money. That goes for relationships. I mean, think about the people who win the lottery. Overnight, you go from barely being able to pay your bills to now you have $30 million in the bank. And then within 30 days, those people are broke. And all of us are wondering, how is that possible? How do you have $30 million in the bank and now you're bankrupt? It's because they weren't prepared. They had not gone through the process of slowly growing their wealth, seeing how they can handle $1, how they can handle $100, so forth and so on. But because it happened overnight, they were not in a position to receive it. I love going to the gym. Another example is when I walk into the gym for the very first time and I've never worked out before, it is crazy of me to think that I can lift as much as people who have been going to the gym for years, who are faithfully hitting the gym every single day. They started out at a starting point just like I did, but now they're a way ahead of me. So we have to be careful about the things that we want, the things that we desire. And it goes for relationships as well. Sometimes being single is exactly where you're supposed to be. Sometimes being married is exactly where you're supposed to be. So instead of coveting what someone else has, you look at your situation and you say, okay, how can I make the best of this? How can I use this opportunity to prepare me for something greater? And that's not just with blessings. It's also with dealing with difficult times. I can't help but think of David. As a small child, I mean, I really want you to get an image of this. And I'm not trying to preach to you, but I really want to illustrate what I'm saying. When David was a small child, I mean, David was so small when he faced Goliath that his brother's armor wouldn't even fit on him. As a matter of fact, his father was like, no, I'm not going to let you fight a giant. Are you crazy? You're a child. There's no way I'm going to let you fight a giant. Well, David told his father, I know I can do this. How do I know? Because when I was tending the sheep, a bear tried to steal a sheep, and so did a lion. I chased them down, took the sheep back, wrestled them to the ground, and killed them. I have been prepared for a moment just like this because of what I've gone through. And I can guarantee you, the first time David faced the bear, I'm sure for him that was the fight of his life until he faced the lion. Then that was the fight of his life. But both of them were preparing him for the actual fight of his life, and that's when he faced Goliath. And here's the cool thing about this whole situation. Once you feel mentally prepared for a fight, once you feel like I got this, I can handle this, guess what? David didn't have to actually box with Goliath. He didn't have to wrestle Goliath like he did the bear. He didn't have to kill Goliath with his bare hands the way he did the lion. No, he used his brain. And he used his brain because he knew he could win. He already knew that he could win. So that allowed him to use some innovation and some ingenuity and think outside the box, because I know I'm not going to lose in this situation. And it's the same thing with us. It's the people who start businesses and fail. Those aren't failures. Those are people who are learning from their opportunities. The people who fail are the people who never try because of fear. But if you start a small business and you see a little bit of success, and then you start another business and you see a little bit more success. Guess what? Over time, at some point, the idea of starting a multi-million-dollar Fortune 500 business is just like that Goliath. I've already done the small stuff. I've already defeated my fears, so there's no reason why I can't do this. It's all about attitude. And that's what we've been talking about this whole 17 days of the challenge. Changing your mindset, changing how you look at things, and deciding this is not as big as it appears. I'm not going to allow this thing to defeat me. One, because I know who I am and whose I am. And number two, I've been down this road before and I won. Even if I lost, even if I feel like I lost, I won because I got something out of it. Not only that, I'm still here. If you lost everything but your life, you still won. You still gained. Because eventually you're going to get a blessing or, like I said before, a lesson. And it's that lesson that you use for future blessings. Not only that, you have the opportunity to be a blessing to someone else. I promise you, if you take your eyes off your situation, if you stop and take one step back and just look at the enormity of the universe, if you start looking at opportunities that you can help someone else, the blessing is going to follow you. That's how it works. It is the greatest Ponzi scheme ever created. You bless 3 people, that allows those 3 people to bless 3 people, that allows and so forth and so on. But if you get stuck in your own situation, and this is where a lot of people fail, in my opinion, this is where a lot of people fail in business. They sit at a table by themselves and they try to figure it all out. Well, you weren't designed to do that. You weren't created to work alone. You weren't created to build alone. The very first man that walked the earth, he had everything. He had purpose, he had a job, he had responsibilities, he had paradise. But at some point, it was decided, you can't be alone. You need people. You need someone else. The easiest way to get blessed, the easiest way to walk in abundance is to find out, how can I help? The most successful people in the world are also philanthropists. And it's not just about the tax credit. Don't believe that crap. It's about the fact that recognizing I've been blessed with so much, I want to give. Now, here's the thing, though. You don't have to wait until you're a millionaire to give. You can give right now. You can give your time. You can give your resources. You can just give a positive message. A few days ago, I gave you a challenge where I wanted you to reach out to someone and I wanted you to tell them, I'm thinking about you. How did that work out for you? How did the people who you sent that message to, how did they respond? I tell you what it did for me. I reached out to a couple of people. I think about 2 or 3. And I said, hey, just want you to know I'm thinking about you. Guess what? I had 6 people reach out to me. I doubled my investment. I reached out to 3 people. 6 people reached out to me and said the same thing. That's how it works. When you give, it comes back to you. But don't think of it just as money. It's not about just money. It's about anything that you can give, even if it's a smile. It is very hard for you to see someone, they smile at you, and then you stay sad, especially if they have a pretty smile. You can't help but smile back. And that's what it's really about. Understanding that what I'm going through right now is not the all to be all. I'm not done yet. Just like I said, we had a couple of days ago. If you wake up in the morning, guess what? You still have purpose. You still have something you have to do on this earth. And my suggestion is find out what it is and then do it. Do it and keep doing it until that time runs out. The worst case scenario, the very worst case scenario, is that you bless someone's life. You may not get anything out of it that's tangible. You may not get all of these riches and all of this wealth and all this other stuff. But for someone, you changed their life. And that, to me, is truly being blessed. That, to me, is what it's all about. If the only reason you are here is to make somebody's life a little easier, you lived a fulfilling life as far as I'm concerned. So the next challenge I want you to take is I want you to think about something difficult that you've gone through. I want you to think about a tumultuous situation that you've endured, whether it be with relationships or money, a job, whatever. And I want you to think about how it's prepared you for greater things. What is the lesson that you got out of it? How do you feel stronger because you went through that situation? So I'm always transparent. I'll be transparent with you. Starting out when I was young, I wasn't always good with my money. Sometimes, I'd get paid on the first and I was broke by the third, right? But going through those situations where I'd have to go to the ATM machine and just kind of pray that I could get $20 out, it really changed my perspective as it relates to money. I realized that being broke taught me 2 things. One, I can do it. And that's worth its weight in gold. Knowing that I can just sit on my hands for, 14 days until I get paid again and find a way to eat and find a way to entertain myself, that has served me very well, especially when I'm saving for something that I really desire. It taught me patience. It taught me that money is a tool. And number 2, it taught me that I can't hold on too tight to the things that I love. Sometimes you have to let things go. Now, I'm not rich by no means, not as wealthy as I will be one day. I always speak positive things into your life. But I am a good steward of what I have right now. I'm not great with money, but I do understand how money works. And I don't worry about things when they happen. I get a bill unexpectedly or, some crazy thing happens where I'm low on cash. It's because I've been there before. I've had 37 cents in my account before, so it's okay that I got to pay this big bill because I prepared for it. So I want you to do the same thing, either on this live or actually I'll post a challenge on the page. You don't have to go into specifics. This is not designed to embarrass anyone or put your business in the street. That's not what this is about. I want you to encourage others who are going through something right now who don't understand why it's happening or what's going to happen after they get through it. So I want you to think about something that you've gone through. Maybe it was a tough relationship. Maybe you had a really bad relationship, but it taught you to look within yourself for happiness. Maybe you were lonely and you didn't have a lot of friends, but it taught you to really enjoy who you are and be in the joy of your own solitude. Maybe you just had a difficult time with family, and because of that, you now cherish your family, or you have friends that you treat like family and you understand that relationship better? What have you gone through in your life that seemed like the biggest thing, that seemed like that bear, it seemed like that lion, but it prepared you for the Goliath? I can't wait to hear your stories about that. It's really about changing your mindset. If you change your mindset, I guarantee you, you will change your life. Thank you so much for listening to me. It's day 17, y'all. Tomorrow's day 18. We're going to go back to the original format. I hope you enjoyed this tonight. Invite your friends to the group. If you don't have at least 3 friends in the group, you are hoarding positivity. That is not how you get blessed, people. That's not, you got to share it. Again, thank you guys. I appreciate you. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow. Good night.